All right, we are now ready for the final track from Axis Bold as Love, the title track of the album, Bold as Love. Bold as Love features two distinct guitar parts, a clean rhythm guitar part that showcases a lot more of those beautiful R&B inspired rhythm creative things that Hendrix is so great at, and then a couple of the best guitar solos that he ever cut. So here's the first verse of Bold as Love. Let's go over this primary first verse guitar part for Bold as Love. The song starts with an expressive stab on an A major chord. The 5th fret of the 6th string is fretted with the thumb. The A string is muted, and then you have 7, 6, 5, 5 with the ring, middle, index barred across the top too. And then an expressive, you just first hit the strings, muted, and then slide down the low E string and hit an open E, and the next chord is an E chord, and after strumming the regular standard E chord, Jimmy adds the suspended 4th by bringing the pinky in 2nd fret of the G string, hammered from the 1st fret of the G, which is fretted with the index finger. So you have, so I just kind of strum across the wound strings with the G string in there. Next chord's F sharp minor, so that's 2nd fret of the low E string with the thumb, A string's muted again, and then you have 4th fret, 2nd, 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 and then the similar suspended sound brought in for a second with the use of the pinky on the G string, hammered up from the index finger. So we had, so you're, by using the pinky because you're holding the chord, to a D chord, and after fretting the standard 5th string root D bar chord, 5, 7, 7, 7, he plays this little guitar fill. You start by moving your index finger up to the 7th fret of the A string, and you hammer to the 9th fret, and then the index finger is barred across 7th fret of the D and G. And then you strum that again and hammer from 7 to 9 on the D string. Pick 7th fret barred again, and then it ends with another hammer 7, 9 on the A string. Back to an A chord. So if you just look at the chord progression, you've got A to E to F sharp minor to D. And that's going to be repeated. The second time, though, he plays another little different fill. So after the A major chord stab, you're going to bar across the top 2 strings with the index finger, strike them, and then immediately hammer on to the 7th fret of the B string. And then move to index 4th fret of the G, middle 5th fret of the B, and a quick hammer from index to ring up to the 6th fret of the G. Very quickly from one to the other. Back to E, just like before. And now this time he goes, so you're going to play a D, you just play the 5th fret of the A string, strum the top part of the chord, and then move down to C sharp 5 and pick the strings individually. That's where the bass and drums comes in. Right here, back to a D chord. So after strumming the D chord here, you go like the fill before. You start index finger barred across the 7th fret of the D and G. Immediately hammer to 9th fret of the D. Another hammer, 7, 9 on the A. back to that thumbed 5th fret of the 6th string, where you go back to an A chord. And we got 2 quick hammers here. Same thing we did before, index 4th fret of the G with middle 5th fret of the B. And hammer twice with the ring finger onto the 6th fret of the G. Now the next chord in the progression here is B minor. You just play the low root note, and then Jimmy goes really nice flashy lick where you're going to hammer quickly from 7 to 10 back to 7, pull off on the B string while you're barring across the D, G, and B at the 7th fret. So after that quick hammer pull, you're going to pick 7th fret of the G, 7th fret of the D. Down to G, so the next chord is G. He does another classic fill. Again, starting index finger, middle finger. So you're going, start with that hammer, pull back off, pinky, 5th fret of the D, pick it twice. So this part of the progression, we went back to D, and he goes back to A, another one of those, another B, one more time just like before, and here's the last 2 beats of the verse. So you're going to move up, and these here, this is the beat, it's slow, and we're going to have 8th note triplets, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, strumming a G major chord, then A flat, you move up 1 fret, into the chorus. All right, there's a secondary rhythm guitar part that comes in at the very end on these last 2 beats of the verse. And this guitar sounds like it's DI, direct inject, which means it's just plugged directly into the mixing console. It's a super clean tone when you listen to it. And what this guitar is doing is it starts, it plays sixths, which means 2 notes, and the interval between the 2 notes, the distance between them is a sixth. So over the G chord, this guitar goes playing the 5th, the D note, and the major 3rd, a B note on top. And you're going to pick down, up, like that. And then it goes up 1 fret as the rhythm guitar goes from G to A flat. So we go from G to A flat, and then it's going to go into A for the first chord of the chorus. All right, here's the chorus section of Bold as Love. First, I'm going to show you the primary rhythm guitar part. All right, there's a secondary guitar part on this chorus that I mentioned before that starts with the 6th, and it carries through the first 6 bars of the chorus section. Here's that guitar part. All right, here's that primary guitar part on the chorus section. Starts with sliding up to the top part of a major chord. So it's just the top part of a triad. You got C sharp, 6th fret of the G, index part across the top 2. And now again, just the top 3 strings for the E chord. And I start by hammering on from the open G to the first fret of the G string for G sharp for those 3 notes. That's A, that's E, barred across all 3, sliding up to the 2nd fret for F sharp. And then for the G chord, I'm going to hold the top 4 strings, 5th fret, 4th, 3rd, 3rd. And I end with these 2 quick hammer pulls with the pinky, hammering up to the 5th fret and then pulling back off. After each hammer pull, I pick the B string, which is fretted at the 3rd fret. Goes back. So the chord progression here is A to E to F sharp to G. F sharp minor to G. That repeats. And then the second time on G, he just does that more times. Third time back to A. Then we're going to go to the double stops. So this is like going from A to E. It's like E7 really. So we're sliding 9th fret, 8th fret to 7th fret on the G and the high E string. That B string's muted in between. And then we hit just the 2nd fret at the top 3 strings for F sharp minor. Then it goes to D for 2 hits. And then a hammer from 7 to 9 on the A string. And right here we're going to go to an A major chord again. And then Jimmy just brings in a little sus with the pinky. So you've got your standard A major voicing. Thumb, 6th fret of the low E, A string's muted. 7th fret of the D, 6th fret, 5th fret. And I'm going to go hammering on to the 7th fret of the G. Back to 6th fret. And then over the next chord, which is B minor, Jimmy goes, which is a really cool little riff. So right away you go, there's a quick hammer pull from 7 to 10 on the B string, and the index finger is barred across the 7th fret of the D, G, and B during this whole part. And it comes down, when you get to the D string, you're actually fretting 9th fret, a B note, which is picked twice. And then a hammer, and then this is a little weird. There's an open G string in there, followed by a hammer 7-9 on the A string. And that's where it goes to a D chord. So all together, the A with the little sus, and then the quick B. And then after the D chord comes back to, so that quick hammer on the A and D strings from 7 to 9. And then we go G chord, A flat, to A. All right, now that secondary guitar part with the DI sound starts with, and the whole part's based on the 6th sliding around fretted on the G and the high E string. So we start on the 9th fret, over A, and then 7th fret, over E, and then 14th fret for F sharp minor, and then back to 7th fret for G, 8th fret for A flat, 9th fret for A. So one of the cool things here is Jimmy uses the 7th fret not only for the E chord, because it alludes to E7, but it also alludes to G major. And this is just sort of a very classic way to play R&B rhythm guitar. Jimmy had studied guys like Steve Cropper, and you hear that kind of stuff in secondary guitar parts all the time. So we have, and it's played in 16th note triplets. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. When we get to F sharp, he tremolo picks it, then does the same thing back on the 7th fret. Tremolo picks the A one also, then switches back to the sextuplets. 14th fret again for F sharp minor. right here he's going to go down chromatically. That's the E chord. And then for the F sharp minor, strikes barring across the top 3 at the 2nd fret, just like the primary guitar part. Here's the solo section of Bold as Love. We're going to start with the rhythm guitar part first, and it starts with a 2-bar pickup. It's the end of that 2nd chorus into the solo. All right, here's that rhythm guitar part. It starts with a 2-bar pickup at the end of that 2nd chorus. So Jimmy just plays an A chord and does his little sus thing by hammering with the pinky. And there's another one of those little hammer pulls, 7th to 10th fret on the B string, D chord, and then right here are the 8th note triplets, which are played by bass, drums, and rhythm guitar. Okay, so now we're up to the first bar of the solo section. And for the rhythm guitar part, Jimmy just plays the standard progression of A for 2 beats, to E for 2 beats, to F sharp minor for 2 beats, to G for 2 beats, and just kind of plays in a similar way he had been before. And that's the approach, but there are a couple little variables that he throws in there. Like the first time, after coming up from E to F sharp, instead of just playing a straight G, he plays, which sounds exceptionally cool. You're sliding up 5th fret of the D, you have an open G, 5th fret of the B, and an open high E. So you got 2 Gs and 2 Es. Which is really like an A riff, but you know, it just sounds great. Back to A, to E, F sharp, and then G. Does those quick trills. Then he plays an E over here, and now here for F sharp minor, he just moves it up and plays it up in this voicing. So you got 6th fret of the G, 7th fret of the B, 5th fret of the high E. Back to and there in bar 8 for the G chord, he gets the high E string in there also. Now bars 9 through 14, he's going to switch to doing those 6th on the top 2 strings, starting with sextuplets. And then right away, he's going to switch to tremolo picking. So you have the 9th fret, then 7th fret over E. Then he goes to 2nd fret for F sharp minor. But then for G, he plays the 14th fret, which is a weird thing to do. Just an octave higher from the 2nd fret. But it sounds really cool. It works out. Then over A again, he goes back to the 9th fret. He's going to go down chromatically. 2nd fret, then back to the 7th and up chromatically to A. which is mimicking the G to A flat to A. Back down again chromatically. And then over F sharp minor, he plays Lets It Ring. Just sounds totally cool. And now you've got band figures of eighth note triplets between a D power chord, second fret of the G, third fret of the B, just barring across the D and G at the second fret for the A5. Do that again. And the last time he goes, so with each strum there's a quick hammer from the open G to the second fret. All right, here's the guitar solo from Bold as Love. All right, let's go over this Bold as Love guitar solo. Jimmy comes in one bar before the actual solo section begins, and it begins with a straight guitar tone. When he gets to that first note, that's the first bar of the solo, he kicks on his fuzz face. And he starts with an ascending sextuplet lick that's based on the A minor pentatonic scale, and he plays. And then right there, that's where the beginning of the solo section starts. And he plays. So you're going to hold that bend. And then release the bend after you pick it. Fifth fret of the B. Back to two bends on the seventh fret of the G. Then over F sharp, you're going to bend that E note up a whole step to F sharp. And then, it's really cool here, Jimmy slides up second fret of the G string to the fifth fret for a C note. And then pulls off twice from fourth fret of the G to second fret, ring index finger. Then he goes to a riff based on A major pentatonic. Right here is A major pentatonic, same as F sharp minor pentatonic, and that's why that scale and riffs based on that scale sound so good based on played over an A chord or an F sharp minor chord as it is here. So we start. So you bend that a whole step, index on the top two at the second fret. Pinky comes in fifth fret of the B. Bend and release, fourth fret on the G. Bend and release again and go to the index finger. And we're going to land on the F sharp there, and that's over F sharp minor, so that's why it sounds so cool. And then again, very slow bend and release. So after we slide back up, or hammer either one, you're going to play second fret of the G against fourth fret of the D. And then to the fifth fret over the G chord. Now right here he goes. So first you're going to slide up into an A major triad, 6, 5, 5, and then slide up to 10th fret of the B. So after the slide up, that's 8th fret of the high, 10th fret, bent twice and vibratoed. Then you're going to bend. That's going to be bent up a whole step and vibratoed. You release the bend. This is 12th fret of the high A string. Back to index finger, 10th fret. Bend it twice and release. Bend it again and release. Back to 10th fret of the A. So right here, this sounds really cool. You're slowly bending that B. That's over F sharp minor. And that's over the G. So these melodies sound very cool. And then there's a lot of repetition in it because he again repeats. But now this time goes. So you're going to go 12th fret of the B, bend and release, pull off to the 10th fret, land on 11th fret of the G. And then we go 10th fret to 12th fret on the G. Now right here. So this is nice, 12, 14 on the high E, and then you bend it a step and a half. And another one of those notes that's pre-bent or ghost bent, picked, and then release. And now right here, where the chords are going, first Jimmy goes, just as he slides up and down. So you're going to play a C note, and then bend the G, 8th fret, up a whole step, and vibrato. You hold that for one beat of the next bar. 1. So a little descending riff there, you go 5th fret, 8th, 5th, and then you bend 7th fret of the G. So we're going down, straight down A minor pentatonic, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 3, open, play another A there, and then he kind of repeats it by going. For the outro solo of Bold as Love, the song modulates to the key of C sharp. So here we go. Here's the outro solo. Let's go over this outro solo to Bold as Love. As I said, it modulates. The song modulates up 2 whole steps to the key of C sharp. So the chord changes now are going to go C sharp, major, G sharp major, and then A sharp, which is weird. or B flat minor to B major. So you could also think of C sharp as D flat. In that case, it would be D flat major to A flat major to B flat minor, then to B. It begins with unison bends. I'm starting with unison bends on the top two strings. I'm bending a 12th fret of the B string up a whole step to C sharp while fretting a C sharp with the index finger. And I'm vibratoing. And then I move to a series of unison bends on the G and B strings, starting with bending the 11th fret of the G while fretting 2 frets lower on the B string for a unison G sharp. Move up a whole step, unison A sharp or B flat. Go back to G sharp and then F sharp for 2 F sharps, back to G sharp, and it's vibratoed. So again, you put all that together. Jimmy plays that twice, and then the second time, when he comes up, so you're going to pick this G sharp a few times leading into the downbeat of the next bar. That's the downbeat of the next bar, that D sharp that's bent up a whole step. So we bend up a whole step, vibrato, release, to 11th fret, back to 9th fret. And that's over G sharp, and then he goes. So that's a quick bend, release, and pull off. Back to 11th fret of the B. Back to the index finger, and then we're going to bend this 12th fret E up a whole step in vibrato. Now right here, it sounds like, so a high G sharp on the 16th fret bent up a whole step 3 times. But in actuality, he misfrets by fretting a fret lower, 15th fret, and he has to make up for it with the bend, and he goes like that. So if you listen closely to the recording, it sounds a little twisted, and that's why. When he comes back from like that instead of, but he probably meant to do that. So we bend again and release, 16th fret to 14th fret on the B. And that's a bend on the 16th fret of the B, release, pull off to 14th fret, land on 15th fret of the G. Bend that 16th fret again, then we do it again. 3 more bends, and then there's a quick hammer pull between the 14th and 16th fret. Like that. Straight to a 16th fret bend on the B string. And when you do that bend, you're going to drop in the 16th fret on the high E. And another quick. So that's hammer 14, 16, 14, pull off to 15 on the B. Now right here, Jimmy is going to introduce a figure that goes across all the chords based on triads. He starts with a major triad for C sharp by pulling off from E sharp, which is the correct enharmonic name for the major third of C sharp. So you're going to go 13th fret, pull off to 9th fret, to 9th fret on the G. There's 4 of those, and those are played as 8th note triplets. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. And then he does the same thing, move down to over the G sharp chord, so you're going to pull off 8th fret to 4th fret. Then that moves up to A sharp or B flat minor. Now this is a minor triad shape, so you're pulling off 9th fret to 6th fret. And then for B, that moves up, but it's a major triad again. So the pinky's 1 higher on the major ones. It's 4 frets higher. For the minor ones, it's 3 frets higher. So when we get to B, it's 4 frets higher. Gonna climb up to C, back to C sharp, he repeats that. And now right here, he moves into straight soloing, so you're going to bar across the top two. Pick first string, second string. And you're going to drop a whole step bend and vibrato on the 12th fret of the B. And now right here. So that's 9th fret of the high A, pull off 12, 9 on the B. And then a quick bend, 11th fret of the G. Whole step bend up to 9th fret on the top two strings again. So you got so after we come down, you're going to pull off on the high E string. And then he does a repeated bend, bending the B up a whole step on the B string, and then a fretted C sharp. Then he goes. So you're going to do a quick 9th fret, 12, 9 pull off. Same shape as before, bending that 11th fret. But right here, that's a two-step bend, very Albert King. And then he's going to repeatedly go. And then he does another lick that's similar. Now right here, this is real cool. He bends a root note. So you bend it up a whole step and release. And then over G sharp. So we're sliding up the 11th fret of the A and then going between 9 and 11 on the D. You're going to bend it again. And then he moves up. That's over. Really nice sound there as it's sliding up to 13th fret and going between 11th and 13th. And then he goes. So after he slides up here, you're going to play 13, 11, 11, 9, and then chromatically down from 11 to 8. And then back to 11, 9 on the D string. And then back to. So you bend, 11th fret up whole step, index finger across top two. And then another triplet riff, it's the same as the others. And then he goes. So that's 11, 9, 11 on the D and A string. 9, 11, 9. And now here, the last couple bars of the solo. He's going to tremolo pick for the notes E sharp and G sharp. That's part of a C sharp trot. It goes over the C sharp chord. This is really cool. He just changes one note to go over the G sharp, and then he slides that up a whole step to go over A sharp minor. And by that time, the track is faded out.